Hey guys, Matt and JD are back. This is a game from our VIP patron Birdsell. He's playing the white pieces and he wanted me to take a look at this. This is a 45-45 classical game online.
I see.
And look at this opening, JD.
Hey,
H3, King's Indian
we get the
defense.
kid. All right. So what happens here?
So
E3, knight DD7.
and usually here, what do we see?
I mean E5 is the most common, but C5 and knight BD7 are also totally playable.
Right. In E5, the most popular move, we're going to play D5. And after black makes a move, next we play G4. And this comes
Hmm.
from our classical 1D4 chess goals course. And in this game, what ends up happening is Birdsell tries to go with that same setup, even though black does not play e5. And that's going to be one of the main takeaways we're going to see. Knight e2.
This does. I do want to point out that this knight GE2 actually does break the chess goals repertoire. G4 is the chess goals repertoire here, preparing so that if E5 comes, we can just transpose.
And what do we do after c5 there?
So if you play here C5, well then we just come here. So he has the opportunity to transpose back into the game.
I like that. Okay, so we're going with knight e2, c5, d5, e6. So what type of structure is this heading towards?
This is definitely like a Benoni thing right now, which I like. I'm terrified of the Benoni, so I would definitely already. I'm pretty certain that black is winning, at least against me.
But this is a blunder. This is actually a blunder. The pawn on d6 is undefended. So you can go d takes e, and there's a couple different moves for black, but no matter what black does, white is able to win a pawn. So Birdsell, if you see something that looks a little bit off from what your memorized opening moves are, kind of look for those little tactics, especially with a 45-minute game.
Looks like that we're potentially thinking about winning a pawn here as well.
A second,
A second pawn, because
yeah,
like you've got both of these are somewhat hard to defend both of them in the same go.
that's a really good point. Yeah.
I only see one way to defend both of them at the same time, and that's to play here, which does protect both pawns.
How about queen b6? Does queen b6 do
Okay.
it?
Okay, fine. Queen b6 perhaps works a little bit better to defend both pawns.
All right. I got a comment today like, yeah, I really enjoyed JD's trash talking your queen odds game. He almost seemed a little bit mean towards you. E takes D played after G4. C takes D. And here black is kind of getting everything they want out of the Benoni. Pawn to B5 is playable here. This is kind of that classic Benoni idea. If knight takes, then this E pawn drops. And it's like,
Yeah, you have problems on b2. Your knight's loose. This pawn's probably going to hang. When are you going to castle exactly? It's not clear. Like we already have this check. We have this check, and then when you block with the knight, takes, bishop takes, and like this rook hangs, and all kinds of problems here.
yeah, these are the Benonis we don't want to play as white.
Yeah, certainly.
So knight e5 played, and the threat here is knight to f3 check. My first instinct is, it's actually checkmate. My first
Yeah.
instinct is let's block that check with knight g3 or bishop to g2. But I
Uh-huh.
actually really like what Birdsell did here from a practical point of view. He plays pawn to f4, allowing the check and moves his king out. But look at where this knight ends up, sitting on the rim on h5. So
Yeah, I mean f4 was also like my first idea. Anytime I see a knight on e5, I want to play, but I don't know if I would have done it here because of the check. But I mean, if knight c4 instead, then I think there's some real problems. Knight c4 is a better square. This bishop's got to find somewhere to go. I don't really want it on f2, and I don't want to have to put it back on c1 either. And I sure can't give it to you.
yeah, no, that's a good point. Knight c4 probably punishes this move. Um, but after knight to f3 check, I do like white's position in this, end structure. And knight g3 is a strong idea as well. So white's just very solid here, even though there's no pawn support on the second rank. Black can't really crack this structure without sacrificing a piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Queen b6, rook b1, bishop to e2. Kind of ignore these question marks. These just came along with the analysis, but they're not from me. Queen to c7. And I think the last four moves were all very good by Birdsell. who's playing the white pieces. He's just kind of getting all of his pieces out, and everything feels harmonious to me, right?
Kind of. I mean, I know that the breaks I'm looking to make in this position are e5 and f5, and I don't like where my king is in either of those situations. So I feel like I've got to figure out what I need to do with my king before I can really advance my position much.
I think one idea is you could play rook f1, king g1, f5. So start a castle by hand.
Yeah,
But you could also play queenside, like either a3, b4, or b4 immediately in some cases. I think this is a good way to play it. Both
I
bishops
think
point queenside.
I think b5 is probably coming from black too.
That's a good point. Yeah, we don't want to allow b5, c4, and kind of black getting the position they want. So g5 played, and goes with the g4 theme. I think Birdsell got a little too anxious with the pawns in front of his king. Check for the king safety first, because this is sort of giving black an advantage again. Knight to
Yeah, I
e8, and
think
we see the
so.
rook lined up.
This G5 and this pawn storm with it on the G and H files, you need a pawn on E5 for that, keeping the center locked down. You don't have a pawn
Yeah.
on E5. I don't think you want to be playing this G5 H4 stuff.
I mean, if your king was able to get to h2, maybe you can get
Mm-hmm.
away with it, right? But you got a
Yeah.
couple moves to get there. So knight e8, bishop to g4. Great move by
F6 is
Birdsell.
screaming to me. F6 has got to be the way to play this.
Oh, he played a6.
That's a problem.
But I love this idea. Look at the trap he's setting. Bishop takes, queen takes, the knight dies.
Yeah, yeah. But
And
what about, I mean, what if F6 is played? I like that my king is on the F file. Black's going to try to peel things open. Like, this seems
I think you gotta do
difficult to
this.
me.
Bishop e6, threatening queen g4.
Not happy. Okay, so takes. And
Now you're
now
gonna take
takes.
g5. Yeah, I agree with you. This looks good for black. Knight to d5, you could play f5 maybe, but yeah, black's looking better there. I agree. So
All
f6,
right.
missed opportunity for black.
So instead, yeah, A6, which is pretty major problems.
King g1. Okay, so Birdsell, this is another tactic for you.
Yeah, this is we have the same sort of tactic because this knight's stranded. So after takes, we can still play this queen g4. And yes, you can take my queen, but I'm going to take here. And now where's this knight going?
Yeah, so same
Oh, I see
tactic.
you actually put this in the comments. I didn't steal from that. I came up with this all by myself, man.
Yeah, I know you did. But yeah, this is still trap knight, just one move deeper.
Yeah, yeah.
So f6 played. Now we do get to
King.
see a very similar looking line. Takes. And here, f takes g5 was played, which is a mistake. So same theme, Birdsell. Just kind of keep watching those pawns in front of your king. You don't want to overexpand them and expose yourself.
I'm highlighting the rook here because this is the thing that this rook seems totally out of place to me. I realized that you played this king g1 because of the f file problems, but
Yeah. Here's a good combo for you. Knight d5, hit the queen. And then when
uh-huh.
she moves, like let's say queen a5, now rook h2. And if pawn takes pawn, you get a little bit of counterplay, right? I think white's back in this game. Bishop takes f4 coming next.
Why not just bishop takes f4 immediately?
That's also good. Yeah. I
I
just
mean, you
like,
probably
Yasser, push him, baby, push those past pawns.
yeah, okay. All right.
Okay, f takes g. So advantage black, and he does a good job opening up this threat. Now, I want to fast forward just a little bit until we get to a mistake coming up. So trade of bishops, queen drops back, trade of rooks, and we're kind of reaching this interesting endgame with a queen, rook, and two knights each. And right around here, black has the advantage. So if we do a material count, black is up a pawn still, and there
And
is a
that
pass
pawn's a
pawn,
monster, though. It's not just a pawn. I mean, that's like a
protected
pawn
pass
plus.
pawn.
That's a pawn plus at the very least.
But look what Birdsell does here. Queen b4, queen
Okay.
d6, and queen back to c3. He's saying, you're up a pawn. You need to prove that you can win this. And I really like that decision by him. He's playing aggressively and trying to get the queen in. and black plays knight to e5 here. Do you see the problem with this move?
I do. It's a pinned piece, and I can just attack it. I
Are
mean,
you
rook F. So we have a couple things. We have to note the fork, and
mhm.
then we have to note the pin. You combine those two ideas, I come up with this, and you can't take it because of this, and I win your queen.
Yeah, very nice tactic. Not the easiest one to spot, but really nice tactic.
I mean, I don't know if I would have found that. I don't know if I would have found that. Maybe, maybe. I mean, I was certainly helped by the idea that because you told me there was something here.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's the easiest thing to spot, but in these kind of situations, one thing you want to do is look for those tactics. You know you're probably going to get ground down and lose this endgame. Look for those little tricks. You can keep an eye on these two pieces at a forking distance.
I mean, as black, I would definitely want to come back here, and I want the queen trade. So if you just come back, I'll improve this knight. Like I'm gonna go here, and then 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 I'm gonna go here.
Yep.
Like I'm just gonna advance the whole chain.
Right. So black found just the incorrect way to break the queen repetition that was going on. All right. So let's stop the analysis here. H4 was played in the game, King G8. But I want to kind of talk through just the main takeaways from this game. I think the main constructive takeaway, so something for Birdsell to work on, is watching those pawns in front of the king. You don't want to keep pushing those pawns in front of your king, creating weaknesses. But I think there were a lot of positives to this game too, JD. Even though Birdsell lost, I think he did a good job with the minor pieces, figuring out kind of which trades to create, getting that knight out on the rim, the whole light square bishop trade. I think was the right idea. In this knight g3, king f2, he showed fluid development too. So I think there's a lot of positives from this game. And then the constructive takeaway, the pawns in front of the king. What did you think
You
overall?
never you never lose when you learn. He didn't lose this game.
That's true. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. All right. That's
No,
a game from Birdsell. He's one of our VIP patrons. And Chess Goals courses, link in the description. This comes from the classical 1d4 course. We have a really fun line against the kid. Thanks for watching, guys.